session with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down!
All right, what is up again, football fans across the Philippines and beyond? You're hanging out with your one and only tailgate tropa before the most important day of the football calendar year. Anthony, as always, and of course, joining me, SS Steven Silva.
Right. What is up to our fellow tropa out there? We are talking about Miami, both teams. We know the players now, the San Francisco 49ers. In the building, got my new jersey. I'm so excited.
Bang,
and of
bang,
course,
Niner gang.
bang, bang, Niner gang. Of course, the very scary, very powerful, high offense Kansas City Chiefs. I'm the one thing I'm just excited about the game. I think we're pretty much guaranteed this is going to be a really good game.
It's the dream matchup for any football head out there.
I think if we saw like a Packers Titans matchup, I don't think it has the same fireworks as the 49ers versus
sure.
the Chiefs. So
For sure.
I think if anything, even if for the non-fans, it's going to be a really good game to watch.
At least the entertainment value is there, right?
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, you're thinking, okay, you have the strong, high-powered offense of the Chiefs, but you have the strength also of the 49ers, the very stingy, very strong, well-coached defense of them. I'm just really excited.
Absolutely.
I cannot wait.
You have the, hands down, best quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Versus
And he's only 24. I mean, we know that it's probably going to go to Lamar Jackson in terms of the MVP, but Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL now when it comes to quarterbacks. He might even be the best player in the league right now, and he's only 24. So the scary part about it is teams could be facing him for like the next 15 years or so. Exactly. They're going to have to find a way to deal with him. So really exciting. There's a lot of storylines to get to. But as we have here, a lot of news that's going around the league. We were just talking about it off air. Antonio Brown.
Yes, we were.
I mean, we were talking about him just off air. This was like a top 3 receiver, possibly the best receiver in the NFL just a year or two ago. And now he's in police custody now. And you just showed me the video. I haven't seen the video, but I just saw it now about the domestic abuse where he's cursing out the police
in front of his girlfriend.
How does this happen? You're talking about a guy's like one of the best players in the NFL, and now this is happening.
According to recent reports, he was allowed to leave jail on a $100,000 bond. I mean, he allegedly threw rocks at a moving company truck driver and in the vehicle right outside his Hollywood, Florida home for refusing to pay the services for the courier. And then
I don't think he's lacking the funds, to take care of something like that.
Exactly, but ESPN reported that AB could possibly face life imprisonment for the felony burglary with plus battery charge, and but his lawyers are trying to work something out to say that it was it's too exaggerated, but still though, just watching him this monumental collapse from
so quickly too. And we were talking about it, that we were thinking that once he went to the Patriots, okay, this is the perfect team for him. He's going to get ironed out. He's going to turn things around here. And we saw it in the first game. He had a great first game with the Patriots, caught a touchdown pass. And then after that, just fell apart.
It was a downward spiral.
If anything, you would really hope that he can kind of pull things together, because it's really kind of sad.
Right.
I mean, there was a part of me when he went as a free agent, last season, I was kind of hoping that the Niners would maybe give him a try. But now that you see what's happening, it's like, oh.
You're thankful not.
Yeah, you're thankful not, but you hope that he can just at least pull his life together. Because I think right now, the way things are going, I mean, his shot at coming back in the NFL is just...
Or not even the up-and-coming XFL, right?
Because I don't think anyone wants to deal with that. Even as good as a player can be, having to deal with these off-the-field issues, getting in trouble with the police, possibly drugs or whatever it may be. It's too much trouble.
I think it's a combination of different factors pulling him down. Even the truck driver said he appeared to be high on something, right? So that's one. Or maybe you can even talk about him having a mental illness that's undiagnosed.
I really hope that he can get things together, get the help that he needs, and really just kind of move forward with this.
Right.
But moving along, talking about another player who's out of the NFL for different reasons, Eli Manning retiring.
Yes, sir.
What a career he's had. What are some of the most memorable moments? And like you said here, do you think he's worthy of the Hall of Fame?
Now, here we go. Now, some stats about Eli Manning. His regular season career record is at a magnificently mediocre 117, which is, it sums up who Eli Manning is. 16 seasons, the only significant passing category Eli ever led was interceptions.
Oh, God. That is true. I mean, when you look at Eli Manning just coming out of college, I mean, he had a great college career, but then as soon as he got in the NFL, there's nothing that really wowed you about him. But I mean, you can't argue. 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
Right.
And I think the one thing that most people will remember him for is his Giants taking down the 16-0 New England Patriots.
18-0 at that point.
18-0, including the playoffs. But, and I don't think too many people were going to think that team was going to beat that Patriots team because they were a juggernaut.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't be stopped that year.
For sure.
And of course the catch to David Tyree off the helmet.
The helmet catch, yep.
I mean, so for me, I think he's going to get in.
Basing the argument that Eli can't make the Hall of Fame just because of his regular season stats. Of course he's not going to make it on that.
It's not about just the regular season. It's about the things you did in the playoffs and the Super Bowls. Did you make it to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Did you win any rings? And I think he's done enough that he's worthy of the Hall of Fame. Maybe not right away, but maybe a couple seasons of eligibility, he'll get in. I think he will.
But Tom Brady threw the ultimate shade on his, I think, Twitter and Instagram. Tom Brady said,
"Oh yeah,
congratulations on your retirement and everything, but I still hope you didn't win."
Yeah, exactly. Because both of them coming against Tom Brady and the Patriots. But I think when it's all said and done, he will get in.
Yep.
Other things that are happening around the league right now, of course, I think the Pro Bowl game is happening in a couple hours out here in Manila, our time.
The game.
What do you think about the Pro Bowl? Yeah, the game that nobody really watches. What do you think about that? How can you improve? I've been watching some of the skills challenges. I like them.
Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry playing a little quarterback. They have the dodgeball challenge. I like those. I think if anything, they should just get rid of the game. Because
scrap it.
The game, it doesn't mean anything. These guys are out there. They have nothing to play for. They're trying not to get injured, especially the guys that are going into free agency. They don't want to end up, tearing a muscle or anything.
Makes sense.
It really makes for this game that's just really boring to watch. So I don't know. I don't think there's a way they can improve it. The only way they can improve the game is just get rid of the game. Just make it a bunch of different skills challenges.
Exactly.
I've heard some podcasts where they suggest that maybe let them try, because a lot of these guys, they're actually like ex-NBA players, or not NBA players, but they're ex-basketball players. Russ Wilson, got drafted in the first round of the MLB. Make them do other things that we're not used to seeing. Maybe have them make a 3-point contest, a dunk contest. I don't know, a home run derby.
Right.
Something to make it like interesting. Like, I've never seen that before.
Or something that highlights like their skill. I'm thinking. I was going over some old clips of. Remember the strongest man challenge?
Yeah.
Where they had to bench like X number of times.
Yeah, you could see that. So at least they have like a different thing to look forward to. Maybe a different title. Like we now know the strongest man of the NFL is Larry Allen. For the longest time, I think he had the record for the most bench press.
40 plus.
Fast. Maybe you could have the fastest man in the NFL. Something like that. The Pro Bowl game, as much as I want to like it, it's just really boring.
It's going the way of the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah.
Like the thing that... is it necessary, for
because there's
marketing?
I mean, a lot of people come at it from the angle where, it's a chance for the NBA players to kind of relax, take a little break off, have some fun. And I get that. The thing about the Pro Bowl game with the NFL, it's after the season. So there's nothing else to really play for.
Yeah.
After the Pro Bowl, we have the Super Bowl. Putting out, they changed it because before it used to be Super Bowl and then the Pro Bowl. But even so, I mean... Sad to say, it's not really good TV.
It's not palatable to the fan.
It's not, man. It's really not. It's not really, especially for the casual fan.
Right.
What are you gonna watch this for?
Right. I was thinking of some things like, remember, how in high school football, even college football, like they have these, one-on-one DB versus wide receiver drills. That would be awesome.
I would love to see that. It's right? Like something where we can really see their skills on display. But with the Pro Bowl. you're not gonna see that.
No,
You're just out there
absolutely not.
watching guys just taking it nice and easy, trying not to get hurt.
Or how about a 7-on-7 challenge, like the one they have?
Maybe
in,
yeah, or even like I don't know, flag football. Let them play a game with flag, so at least you know they're not gonna get hurt or anything like that.
But you can still see, their speed, their catching,
Yeah.
and everything.
exactly.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
All right, so that's I guess the news around the league. But of course, the playoffs pretty much coming to an end. We have one more game left. Of course, that is the Super Bowl.
Right.
Some of the highlights for you, Anthony, coming into playoffs.
Wow, 2019 NFL playoffs. I'm starting to get a reminder of this. Old.
I'm thinking of our last podcast that we did the predictions.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to remember.
you nailed it.
I think I picked Chiefs
nailed
49ers.
it.
You picked
Ravens.
49ers Ravens. And that kind of leads me into the Titans. That was my one thing. I was so surprised.
Me too. Like that's why I was saying this is my theme for the 2019 NFL playoffs would be remember the Titans.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
The bracket busters. I mean, you would expect, okay, I accepted them beating the Patriots.
Hmm.
A little unexpected that they did it away, in Foxborough. But then to beat the number 1 seeded Ravens
Baltimore Ravens. Yeah.
in their home stadium, both on the road, it's just how?
What an improbable, playoff run.
Yeah, you're talking about the number 6 seed just taking out the number 1 seed like nothing.
You're right.
And
right.
that was a game where they didn't allow the Ravens to score an offensive touchdown. They all field goals.
Exactly, and we got to give a lot of credit to their GM John Robbins and that trade for Ryan Tannehill back in March. That completely retransformed the franchise. It was it's a very forward-thinking decision, like inserting him in week 6 in favor of the struggling Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I hate to throw shade, but I just feel like Marcus Mariota, it ain't it. It's not. He's like what, year 4, year 5 now.
Right at that time.
And for them to really just be bold enough to make that move, make the switch, you could see the change.
Yeah.
From I think it was week 7 he took over. You could see the change just happening from that quarterback position.
And that's how AJ Brown suddenly lit up.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith lit up. And speaking of lighting up, how about the tank from Alabama?
Truck
Derrick
known as
Henry.
Derrick Henry.
My goodness.
The one
me.
thing, I'm kind of worried though. Derrick Henry is actually going to be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. So hopefully, I think that's one of the priorities though to re-sign him.
For sure.
And he stated that he does want to return to the Titans.
For sure. I mean,
he's definitely a building block for that team.
Derrick Henry racked up 467 scrimmage yards.
Oh, yeah.
2 rushing touchdowns. Oh, he also threw a touchdown for a good measure. I mean,
That little Tebow, what is it? He gets the ball, jump throw, throws it over. That was a really good play. And I saw some things at least that the Titans fans don't have to worry about too much. Even though Derrick Henry, he's gotten a lot of play in this season. He's actually only just in his 4th year in the NFL, and he really only has 3 seasons worth of carries. In his first 2 years, he only carried the ball 286 times. So he still has, he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear. And if you compare it to like someone like Ezekiel Elliott, he actually had 1,004 career touches just in his first 3 years in the league.
see.
So even though Derrick Henry was used a lot in this season, he still has he has fresh legs. He wasn't used a lot early in his career. So
Sure.
Derrick Henry definitely something they need to focus
kudos
on.
also to Mike Vrabel, for building a versatile, really well coached team.
Yeah.
Right. That
He's got them moving in the right direction.
if they can keep that core, Hollywood Brown, Derrick Henry, even Tannehill,
Yeah, that's going to be another big decision for Tannehill if he wants to stay, and focus on what they have there. Other surprises or highlights for you?
I think you and I would agree on this. My most disappointing team, New Orleans Saints.
That's what I have here. That's what I have here next. It's really kind of sad because this was a really strong Saints team coming in at what the 3rd seed. Because of the way it is. This is a 13-3 team. And it begs you to ask, are they going to stick with Drew Brees? He's just turned 41. Do they want to move with Terry Bridgewater?
Or even Taysom Hill.
So they have questions there. Of course, you got the wide receivers. You have the offensive weapons, but it makes them wonder, is Drew Brees going to start regressing?
I mean, accuracy-wise, Drew Brees will always, remain a precision passer.
Yeah.
But it's his arm strength, declining arm strength that really, really the New Orleans Saints front office has to check into, because although Drew is still accurate, but can he still make those throws in the tight windows?
Yeah.
Can he still have that power to go downfield? Maybe
and,
not. Right?
Taking hits when you're 41 I'm sure is a lot different than taking a hit when you're 31 or 27. So it's something they're gonna have to think about. What else are some things that caught your eye during the playoffs?
If we're talking about Drew Brees in that sense, how about Tom Brady, right?
Yeah, that's one thing I think, a storyline of these playoffs or this season in general. It's kind of like we're seeing the last generation where it's the Brady, the Breeze, the Phillip Rivers. They're starting to kind of go back into the shadows. They're taking that step back, and
Sure.
you're seeing these new quarterbacks, the Lamar Jacksons, the Patrick Mahomes, possibly the Jimmy Garoppolos,
Deshaun Watson.
the Deshaun Watsons. They're starting to take the spotlight now. So it is what it is. Father Time, like they say, is undefeated.
Right.
So. We'll see what they do there. I mean, speaking of Patrick Mahomes, that was another thing that for these playoffs, just talking about the playoffs, the comeback ability of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Deadly.
This is a team where, like, you're watching the Texans. If you're a Texans fan, you're watching this game and you're like, oh, we're up 24-0.
No lead is safe.
Yeah, no lead is safe. You're up 24-0. You're probably starting to celebrate. And you're sitting there like, oh, wow, we got this.
Yeah.
And they go on to outscore them 51-7 the rest of the game.
That's Peter King said it best. Like I was listening to his interviews about Pat Mahomes. He says, if you were to compare Pat Mahomes to someone in the NFC, he would be the Russell Wilson of the AFC.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson doesn't lose games, he just runs out of time. And that's,
I like that. I like that. He doesn't lose games, he just runs out of time. No, I can see that.
You see?
There's some slight differences, but you feel like if you have a Mahomes or a Russell Wilson at quarterback,
you have a chance.
You always have a chance. Even if you're down by a score or two and it's a fourth quarter, you still have a chance for that quick score. And I think if I remember correctly, if it's from the Texans game, they had an average of 2.5 minutes per score. That means they were scoring quick. So basically, you watch the game, they're down 24-0. You go to the bathroom, you fix yourself a sandwich or something. You come back, and all of a sudden it's 20. Yeah, 28. It's 35-24, or it's 28-24.
Yeah.
And it's just like against the Titans, they were down 17-7. All of a sudden, the score is 35-17. So, like you said, no lead is safe.
Right.
And that's scary. We're leading into the Super Bowl. We have the players now. It's the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers.
There we go.
A lot of history for these clubs. The Chiefs, I believe one of the original teams in the NFL when it started up.
Right. They played in Super Bowl I.
Yeah, the last. And thank God we didn't see the... there was no funny business to make it Green Bay Packers because we were thinking
The conspiracy
the
stuff,
conspiracy theories that the NFL would really want to see the Packers versus the Chiefs. It makes a
Right.
great story. Okay, that didn't happen, but the Chiefs, the last time they won and were in a Super Bowl was in 1969,
50 years.
50 years
man.
ago.
50 years. Like I was checking, timeline of the decade, 1969 or even to the Niners side, 1994.
Yeah.
1994 was the year when Lisa Marie Presley married the one and only Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And 1994
It's just kind of funny to see, those things that happened during that time. It's like, was it that long ago?
1994 top grossing film is not the CGI brouhaha that we're seeing.
Not Avatar or anything.
No. It's the original James Earl Jones Mufasa Lion King.
That was the top spelling.
Yes, it was.
Oh my God.
That's how long it has been.
Yeah, and then the last time the Niners were in the Super Bowl was 2012. Of course, the last time they won it was in 94, but
94.
last time they were actually in the Super Bowl, 2012, the Blackout Bowl. They lose to the Ravens. Let's talk about this. I mean, both of these teams taking different roads to the Super Bowl.
Of course.
The Chiefs, we just talked about it. The comeback ability, unrivaled.
For sure.
Even if they get down early in this game, you really are going to sit there and you're like, they could really just snap it on and like score 14, 21 points in any time. But I mean, one thing I'm excited about this I think it's really strength on strength.
For sure.
You talk about the KC pass offense and the offense in general, so many weapons versus the San Francisco defense, especially the pass defense, ranked number 1 in the NFL. And, some of the things I have here, they love to pass the ball around, and why not? Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, it just goes down. But the 49ers defense, they love to see a quarterback that stays in the pocket. With the second highest quarterback pressure per drop back at 28.7%, 5th most sacks in the regular season. The only thing I see here that's going to be a little bit of the wild factor or the wild card here is Patrick Mahomes is also a very athletic quarterback. We tend to forget that. We know that he can make all the throws, and the Niners really struggled, whether it was Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. How do you see things playing out there when it comes to...
There we go. There we go.
We were watching some of the videos earlier.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of film. I was tapping into my
but the thing is,
TV mindset a while ago.
That was Kirk Cousins and that was Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes, completely different beast.
Right. Okay. First up, Kansas City. Now, Kyle Shanahan he's going to need both of his offense and defense to come through to limit, the opportunities of Pat Mahomes coming Super Bowl live. LIV. Super Bowl 54.
Sounds so bad.
Right. But not only that, you have this is really tough for a club that's going back to the Super Bowl in 25 years.
Yeah,
25 years, right? Or could win.
That could win. Yeah,
in 25 years.
There's a lot on the line for both of these teams.
Right. You have to make Pat Mahomes look, I don't know, it's hard to say, mortal in both the second and fourth quarters, because usually Pat Mahomes, he kind of takes it easy.
They tend to start out slow in games. The Chiefs usually tend to start out slow, but once they get, like you said, the second quarter, they head into the fourth quarter, they just start ramping it up and just score teams out the building.
Exactly. 10 points down versus Titans. 14 points down versus Pats. 24 points down against the Texans. These are all deficits that Pat Mahomes has just erased in this playoff run.
Yeah. It's kind of playing with fire, though. If you're the Chiefs, I know you know that they have the ability to do this, but I don't think this is a way they like winning. If you're a Chiefs fan, or if you're on that Chiefs team, you don't like waiting until you're down 24-0 just to start scoring. So if the Chiefs want to win, I think they're going to have to score early, at least get into a rhythm. They cannot do that against the Niners.
For sure.
I feel like, especially with the run game right now, the way the Niners are running the ball, they're just going to keep eating up the clock. And it's like what you said earlier, they're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, but if he doesn't have any time on the clock to make these plays, it's not going to work. So,
but again, the Niners, though, with our guys' strength being the run game, you have to. The Pats did this like a couple of years ago. They virtually took the ball away from Patrick Mahomes' hands by just eating up time after time, minute after minute, running after, putting in a complete rushing attack to just, limit the possessions of Pat Mahomes. But it's harder. It's harder to do because, Pat and Andy Reid, they're the perfect, football pairing, which sort of mirrors how.
And they don't need a lot of time to score. That's the thing that's scary. You would be like, okay, let's give them only 2 to 3 minutes. Sometimes that's all they need to score. So that's a scary part. But we'll see how that plays out. Right. Of course, it's we can say all we want, but we're going to have to see how the players play. Another player that I think that's under a lot of scrutiny lately, and I think it's kind of unfair, is Jimmy Garoppolo. People are really getting on this case. I mean, he's I think in the playoffs, he's only passed the ball around 29 times in both of those games. Last game, he only passed the ball about 8 times.
8 times.
And I mean, a lot of people are getting on his case, like he won't be able to lead the team. He doesn't have enough.
False analogy.
I think if anything, the one valid thing is maybe he might not be in a rhythm going into this game because he hasn't passed the ball a lot. But at the end of the day, why do you need to pass the ball
when your rushing attack is that dominant?
You're averaging 7 to 8 yards per carry. Right. The defense can't stop you. They know you're going to run the ball, but they still can't do anything about it. And this is another one of those strengths, because they're one of the best rushing teams in the NFL, and KC isn't exactly that good at stopping the rush.
Yeah. But going back to Jimmy G, though, with other media outlets calling him, perhaps he's the weak link
Yeah.
of the San Francisco offense. I'm sort of trying to think it over on the more positive side for San Francisco. Like if you're San Francisco, you're thinking actually not, because imagine if this rushing attack is clicking in all cylinders and Jimmy G hasn't even done anything significantly to complement that. And now you're giving Kyle Shanahan, 2 weeks more to go deep down in his bag of tricks for pass plays?
Yeah. I was going to add to what you just said. If anything, these past 2 weeks, they've been able to save all these pass plays, and they're limiting the amount of video and film that the Chiefs can study, because they haven't seen any of these pass plays that Kyle Shanahan probably has stored away, and he's ready to, unleash when the time comes out. Because, okay, why would you pass the ball if you don't need to? Especially, in the Packers game, you're up 27-0. Just keep chewing up the clock.
Right.
Keep working up the clock. And just take this game, because a lot of people have been talking also about Shanahan, and how he gave up the lead with the Falcons a couple years ago in the Super Bowl. And, he said that he's learned from it. Why should you stop doing something that's working?
Right.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. So hopefully they keep going with that mentality. Some of the stats I was able to see, KC, they've given up the 4th most rush yards per rush.
There you go.
7th most yards allowed on the ground. So I think it's something right there. A lot of people are talking about how the Chiefs or how the Niners are going to stop the Chiefs. But we also have to kind of flip it around. How are the Chiefs going to stop the Niners?
For Kansas City, though, I'm really banking on how Tryon Matthew, these past playoff games, he's
had such a resurgence as of late.
He has transformed that Kansas City defense. He was, if you go back to that game versus the Titans, he was everywhere for the Chiefs in that game. He was able to make that huge hit against Corey Davis for a 2-yard loss because he recognized the design from KC's game versus the Pats.
Yeah,
right?
You can see that he's been studying the film, and he's like one of those players that really sets the tone for the defense. So if he gets going, he could really get that Kansas City defense going and making play. Like when you watch the highlights, you just see him flying all over the field. It almost looks like a replay sometimes. He's just like making these plays everywhere. So definitely a player to watch. Another player I'm kind of going to be watching is Dee Ford.
Revenge game.
Dee Ford is only a season away from being on that Kansas City team that was pretty much about to make it into the Super Bowl.
He was an All-Pro then.
A lot of people putting the blame on him. Of course, that infamous offsides call. But I don't know if you can put it 100% on him. It was a bad play, but anytime you let a game kind of go into overtime, kind of putting it up in the air. So, if anything, he might have a chip on his shoulder, and hopefully
for sure he will.
He can come into this game healthy. Who knows? Maybe since he has a little bit of a familiarity with this team, being there last year, maybe he can give some insight to the Niners, the defense, on how they can attack Patrick Mahomes. He's been in that locker room. Yeah. So that's definitely one matchup I'm looking forward to.
You mentioned something about health, though. I think when you're taking a look at the road to the playoffs for both Kansas City and San Francisco, both of them really, really benefited from getting those early first-round buys that kept them from having to play on Wild Card weekend.
That's true.
That extra week off is why, both teams, they were able to navigate the postseason, relatively, scot-free.
Especially the Niners. I mean, from both of us being very familiar with the Niners, they were coming in, limping into the playoffs because you have like 3 to 4 starters on the defense that are just, trying to get back into health. Yeah. You have players here that are dinged up. So the first round bye really helped them a lot.
Yeah.
Going on to what are some of the other players that you're going to be keyed up on?
Well, going back to Kansas City, how are they going to stop that, Niners D from getting to them? It's going to be crucial. Again, the Niners, they win most of their games on that front line, on the strength of that front line, O-line, D-line. So for Kansas City, how are you going to help Eric Fisher take on Nick Bosa and the rest of the guys, right? So probably they're going to use an additional running back, to help out Fisher or Mike Mitchell Schwartz for pass protection. But what makes this Niner pass rush so hard to scheme against is you don't have just one guy trying to beat you. You have 4 legitimate guys.
I was gonna say, yeah, like then they don't blitz. They're one of the lowest blitzing teams in the league. So imagine they can get after you with just those 4 players. Imagine if they start scheming in another player,
Right.
another play that you have to account for. And I think that's gonna affect their offense because now, like you said, you have to leave in the running back to help in pass block. You might have to leave in Kelsey to block a little bit, which is going to affect his timing on his routes
Sure.
because he has to stay in for an extra second or two,
Yeah.
block, chip the defensive end before he can go on his route. So
Right.
it's going to be really interesting on both sides of the field, especially on that side where you have the offensive line of the Chiefs going against that defensive line of the Niners, where it's been said so many times, of course, they're filled with all those first round picks. But it's finally paying off,
Yeah,
you know.
it is.
And I think Jimmy Garoppolo said something about the journey that they had to make to get here. You know,
Sure.
coming from 4-12 to this season, him being down with the ACL, and he said, "Hey, it was worth it. We got Nick Bosa."
Right.
And Nick Bosa is, I think, I'm not so sure if it's official yet, but he's definitely in line to win Defensive Player of the Year.
He should be.
Defensive Rookie Player of the Year.
He should
So,
be. But again, you look at the physical composition of those frontliners for the Niners. What Bosa is 6'3", 6'4", 250. You got your California Redwoods in the forest.
you forget how tall those guys are
The force
because they're
is-
always hunched down in those 3-point stances. But when they stand up, they tower over everybody. Buckner and Eric Armstead, yeah,
They're 6'7",
Sacramento
6'8".
represent 916. He's from my hometown of Sacramento. I didn't know that until recently.
There you go. So just looking at them, these guys are what I define as. Think of it as they're barroom brawlers. Like when you're picking out a fight, like
You want those guys on your team.
These guys are-
You want those guys on your side.
massive. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, and this defense of San Francisco, it's heavily built on that Seattle scheme,
Yeah.
which relies so much on athleticism, on
Oh, yeah.
pure strength, pure speed. You know what I mean?
And one guy I'm really happy they have back is Quan Alexander.
There
Because
you
he
go.
pretty much embodies that. You look at his body type, he's about 6'2", 6'3". He probably weighs around 225. Not exactly your typical middle linebacker, but when you see the way he runs across the field, there was one game, I think it was the game against the Buccaneers, or not the Buccaneers, it was an earlier game, and he was running all over the field. He's just
There
like
you go.
every single time you see him making a tackle from sideline to sideline. So, like you said, the fast defense,
Yeah.
strong up front.
Even the backfield, even
Yeah.
the defensive backfield. Sorry, Richard Sherman is what 6'2", 6'3", and he's long arms and everything. You have remember how Seattle had Earl Thomas and then
Cam Chancellor.
Cam Chancellor.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Ward would be in that role, or even
I
Kwaski
think Cam
Tart.
Chancellor was more of like the strong safety, kind of getting in the box. Earl Thomas is one of those guys just like leaking
Roaming.
in the back. Yeah, he just roams in the back. He's just sitting there in center field, and then as soon as he sees you make that pass, he can just
That's
cut
it.
it off.
That's
if
it.
not, Richard Sherman's probably going to pick it off too. So
But yeah, to add to the Niners defense though, you're looking at another X factor over here, Fred Warner. I think he will be very, very key for trying to stop that Chiefs lateral speed attack.
Yeah.
He's a perfect guy to run sideline
such a
to
smart
sideline.
player. To think he's only in his second season with the Niners and he's already doing the defensive play calls. He's such a smart player. Yeah, definitely something to look forward to. I think one thing, and it's not so secret, an X factor is going to have to be Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I mean, anything he does, all eyes are going to be on him, whether he's throwing the ball or running the ball. I think he's really the engine. Of course, I'm not saying anything that's, that people don't really know, but really, I feel like if he has a good game, just a good game, I think the Chiefs have a really good shot of winning the game. But
Yeah.
if he falters, and like you said, if the Niners defense makes him look very mortal, very normal,
Which
in
is
a
hard,
sense, yeah,
but-
which is hard to do. That's where I think they're going to struggle.
Right.
Because then they're going to have to, if they start getting behind, they're just going to fall right into the Niners trap because
Right.
they're going to have to they're going to be forced to just throw the ball. And that's what the Packers did. And that's when Rodgers started throwing those interceptions.
So for the Niners, again, defense, the key is to limit those big plays down the middle of the field. You harass Pat Mahomes. You keep the damage that he'll do at the
Yeah.
minimum, right? 'Cause
You try to contain. You know you won't stop him, but you definitely try to contain him.
don't let Pat Mahomes sit in there, manipulate the zone. Because if Pat Mahomes sees that the pocket's collapsing, I got rushers over, I got Bosa over here, forward Armstead coming over here. But don't forget, Pat Mahomes
can
has a
run.
scrambling ability.
Yeah, we saw that last week
Right?
against the Titans, that 27-yard scamper on 3rd and 8. Or no, excuse me, it's like second down all the way from midfield. And you thought that he was going to just run it out of bounds.
And then the boom, head fake.
You forget. And that's the thing that's kind of scary because the Niners have actually struggled going against these mobile quarterbacks.
That's why.
So it's like you can completely cover the pass, but then you turn around and you see Mahomes just running down the field. So
That's why for the
it's
Niners,
very easy to say that, it's easier said, but very hard to do.
again, about rushing though, that pass rush, you have to show some variation. Sometimes you send in 6, but don't rush in 5.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna give a tell that okay, you're playing man.
Yep.
Now if Pat Mahomes sees you're playing man,
That's it. That's it. He's just gonna pick where he wants to go, and he can
just fire a
make
laser.
any throw that he wants.
30 yards on the run, nothing.
Nothing. All right. So other things. Okay, we were talking about we haven't talked about who's gonna win yet, but let's talk about the impact and the legacies, possibly the impact on their legacies of a Super Bowl win. If the Chiefs win, how do you think that kind of affects them?
It solidifies Pat Mahomes as not only the best quarterback of this recent timeline, but I think he could. This is it. I think if he wins, you would be putting him in the same breath as perhaps an Aaron Rodgers already.
Yeah, I agree. I think if anything, also to further that, if he wins, Patrick Mahomes is now the mold. He will become the quarterback that people are looking for. It's either because they're also saying the same thing about Lamar Jackson, but I think Patrick Mahomes, you start looking for this type of player. He's the next quarterback that we're looking for. And again, this city hasn't seen a Super Bowl in 50 years, so it brings it back, and it literally just puts Mahomes in the stratosphere of just him. He's the only quarterback that's going to be there. And that's going to help him cash in because I know Mahomes is coming up on the end of this rookie deal.
There you go.
He's probably going to be the first, easily the first quarterback that's going to make at least $40 million a year, if not 50. I don't even know. The way these deals are getting, he's going to hit that 40 mark. Because I know Russell he's the first quarterback I think to break the 30 million mark.
Yeah, around
so
that,
easily we could be talking $40 to $45 million a year for Mahomes.
Now for our guys, first up, ultimate redemption for Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, yeah.
3 years have passed since that Atlanta Falcons failure, but I don't put all the blame on him, right?
He was the offensive coordinator. I mean, like when you think about
Dan
it,
Quinn had
Dan Quinn is the head coach. Yeah. He could easily override, hey, let's not do this play. I think we should do this. We have the lead. So I think he was kind of used as the scapegoat for that defeat.
He was.
But like you said, redemption.
Totally. And even for the narrative, Kyle Shanahan, people are saying, his success in coaching is due to him having a father who's a Super Bowl coach.
It helps. It
but
definitely helps. I wouldn't say it's the all reason that he's in this position.
It opened some doors for sure. Of course, in finding a job in the league and everything.
Of course.
But for him to take his successful offense from Atlanta, from you name it, wherever he went, Washington, now to San Francisco, it shows that he's a creative play calling genius that really transforms a team.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. The one thing I think about it, so playing on this side, if the 49ers win, the roster is young. Kyle Shanahan is pretty young. You have the GM, John Lynch is also, this is a young core. And this window is opening up for them. Let's say that they win, you could be talking about a possible dynasty where they could be there every other year because this is just a team that won 12 games in the last 3 seasons.
Exactly.
And, they went 4-12 last year, and I'm a huge Niners fan. I would have never thought they would be in this position. I was thinking before the season started, and I don't know if I told you, I thought maybe 9-7.
Playoff team.
Possibly 10-6. Maybe sneaking into the playoffs. I would have never pictured them being 13-3 and now in the Super Bowl. So when you see this, it's kind of like the sky's the limit. But you could also say that for the Chiefs. If they win this, you start asking the question, how many are they going to win? It's not like, are they going to win again? How many are they going to win? And maybe you could say that with the Niners. If they win this, it starts to create these different scenarios where they see that the Niners are building something nice. And all these players start thinking like, maybe I want to play in San Francisco. Maybe I'm willing to take a little less money because I know they have a good culture here. I know they have
free agents. And
you start getting these free agents that you might not get. A 4-12 team is not going to attract as many free agents as this team now, 13-3. Hopefully, doing well in the Super Bowl, it starts to change people's minds about your team. So,
but even just to touch off on that now, regardless of the result, I think San Francisco is showing how an organization should be run. With Jed York putting in loads and loads of trust with Lynch and Shanahan on just at the helm. For 3 years they've stuck with them. They go back to 2018. They had an injury derailed season with Jimmy Garoppolo going down with the ACL. But go back to 2017. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch is there. You draft a guy named George Kittle in the 5th round.
Oh yeah,
146th overall.
Oh yeah,
right, and that changes your franchise. You get a guy named Raheem Mostert from the scrap heap of undrafted free agents. You stick with that, core. Throughout the season, you trade for a Tom Brady's backup in New England, and in just a span of 2 to 3 years, you're already in the Super Bowl. I mean, that speaks about that great leadership of the 49ers front office and the wonders it has done.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I was reading an article and they were talking about the best 10 offseason moves in the last couple of years during the Shanahan and Lynch era that kind of led them to here. And it's part of the culture. They started getting rid of these players that just didn't fit. And, now they have players like Fred Warner, Quan Alexander, especially just focusing at the linebacker position. Yeah. I don't know if you remember a player, Reuben Foster.
Oh, my God.
Number 56, wearing the same number that Quan Alexander wore. And, a lot of people were talking about what if they had kept Reuben Foster? You wouldn't have a Quan Alexander. Maybe you wouldn't need to draft a Fred Warner because you still have him there. But also those problems, the legal issues that he had. But with them, they decided, we don't need that. And this was a 1st-round pick.
Yeah.
You know how ballsy it is to cut a 1st-round pick
from Alabama.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
remember that.
It just goes to show like they know what they want and they're willing to stick their heads out for it, and it's paying off. They have a good team, and I think one thing that's nice about the Niners is like, this is when you say a team, this is really a team. They seem to work well with each other. Yeah. It's a good locker room. And you kind of see it on the field. Obviously, we're not in the locker room, but what you see on the field, you see players kind of celebrate each other, especially along the defensive line.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who gets the sack. You see each other, you see them high-fiving, congratulating each other. I saw a sound bite from one of the games. I think it was the Vikings game. And D Ford is talking to Bosa, and Bosa goes, "Hey, look, we all got sacks.
Yeah.
We all got one now." And D Ford's like, "Hey, it's a sack party." Little things like that. It goes to show you that it's not about my numbers. It's about all of us. So I think that's really cool.
Right. And I think something that best exemplifies that, that camaraderie, that cohesion inside the locker room, or from the locker room to the field to the front office, Raheem Mostert. I mean, this guy has been a true inspiration.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing, though, Steven. Before every game, Raheem Mostert looks back at those 6 teams that cut him.
He has the exact cut dates. I saw that. Because, he bounced around. You're talking about playing for 6 different teams, I think in the span of 2 years. Yeah. He basically played for one team, got cut. Made it to another practice squad, got cut.
Even in the Browns, because I think his wife was from Cleveland.
His wife was from Cleveland, and I remember him talking in an interview. He said that things were looking good. He's in his
made the 53-man roster.
Made the roster, and the next day he got cut. So kudos to him for sticking it through.
Exactly. And here's what Raheem said: "Not everybody can deal with the type of stress and pain and agony that I went through, but I just kept the faith not only in myself, but in whoever gave me the opportunity." And that's, the 49ers front office.
They did. And it's really paying off. Wow. I mean, that last game, 220 yards.
Yeah. Record setting.
That's crazy. All right. Quick question before we get to predictions. Which team or maybe player or coach or whatever, who do you think has the most pressure coming into the Super Bowl? Chiefs, Niners?
I I know, because we've been talking a lot about the Niners.
We've been talking a lot about the Niners.
But-
Yeah, I mean, it's not obvious that we're biased, of course. We are Niners fans. But, you know,
But speaking of Andy Reid, too, like he was always been this creative play caller, much
Yeah.
like how Kyle
Yeah.
Shanahan is. But that ring has been
he's
absent.
missing the ring. Yeah, and that's actually one of my notes right here. One of the things that's going to be on in that spotlight is Andy Reid. He's one of the winningest coaches in the NFL, but he still
to not win a
doesn't.
ring.
Yeah, he doesn't have that ring yet. So. If he loses this one, questions are going to start arising. Is he made to build is he made to win the big games? Stuff like that starts arising. I think also Mahomes, because for me, and I saw this just the other day, for the Chiefs to win, I think Mahomes has to be great. On the
Exceptionally
49ers,
great, yeah.
he has to be great. But for the 49ers, Jimmy G just has to be decent. He just has to make the passes that he needs to make, whether it's the short passes,
Right.
no turnovers, because we know that's one thing. Jimmy Garoppolo, he does have those one or two weird passes where he puts it up and it's just like, I don't know what he's seeing. He puts it up there and a defender, thankfully, a lot of times the defender drops it. But he just has to be, I would say, decent against an above average KC defense. While Mahomes, he's going to have to play really good to,
Right.
against this very stingy 49ers defense. So for me, I say the pressure is slightly on the Chiefs, but you can also throw it back the other way. The 49ers team, they're a bit young. It's Kyle
really-
Shanahan's first, time, taking a team as the head coach to the Super Bowl. It's all on him now. So,
Right.
you could say like what happened before with the Atlanta Falcons. He was just the offensive coordinator. It's all on him now. He is the head guy. So pressure for me slightly is on the Chiefs.
Okay,
That's
okay.
how I see it.
But I think, as what you said about Jimmy G, him having to be, a B plus kind of guy, right, for that game. Again, when you look at Kyle Shanahan, I mentioned earlier about how he takes that, creative rushing attack from his father. I think he takes inspiration from that. But if you look at the Shanahan, that running system and, their coaching disciples that have stemmed from it, they have produced so many prolific running backs who are underrated. I'm talking about Terrell Davis back in the Denver Broncos, Clinton Portis. You can even name Alfred Morris, or even Arian Foster in the Texans, because that system again. Offensive linemen, they block a space instead of a person. So if a defender is standing in front of a lineman's face, the lineman blocks that guy. If not, he helps the teammates next to him or runs in the direction of the ball. And then he finds another guy, finds another defender to hit. So zone blocking is, with the Shanahans implementing it, it's so simple. It only has two plays: inside, outside. And then from there, Kyle Shanahan, and he just devises so many other, iterations of plays from that. And I really have to give credit to him finding the right offensive lineman for it. Because if you take a look at the offensive linemen of San Francisco, they're one of the lightest in terms of average weight, lightest O lines in comparison to the league, but. They can create these split second holes for any running back. A best example of this, early second quarter against the Packers, they were 3rd and 8, and then just Mostert. You wouldn't think like a lineman would pull that far, and then Mostert just cuts through, scores his first touchdown.
It's funny you mentioned that. A lot of these plays you see blockers down the field, and you expect them usually to be tight ends, possibly a fullback. A lot of times you're surprised you see a tackle or a guard just running alongside the running back. So, no, that's a good point. And as you can see from these two games with the Packers and the Vikings, there hasn't been an answer yet for this run defense or this rushing attack of the Niners.
Plus that, Steven, I think aside from that, it's Shanahan instilling this culture of blocking amongst, not only on the O-line, not only for tight ends, but you can see even receivers like Debo, Emmanuel Sanders. They're good run blockers.
Yeah, I saw a soundbite. I love watching those things after the games, when they're mic'd up. And there was one bit where Emmanuel Sanders was talking to Raheem Mostert, and he said he said something along the lines like, he's like, oh man, like, he's like, you haven't even been getting in that many passes. And he's like, don't even worry about it, man. I'm just going to keep blocking for you.
There you go.
So, it's another part of that team culture. Hopefully they can get that going. All right, so I think we've come to the time. Predictions for this
Are we
game.
even asking ourselves?
I know, right? Do we really need to ask? Well, I guess if anything, we know where we're going. How do you see this game playing out? Maybe what's the score?
I'm
prediction?
banking on Kyle Shanahan's again drive for redemption.
Yes.
I'm banking on his creative play genius in the rushing attack. And this is why the Niners will win, because the Chief defense, of course, they stopped Derrick Henry in the AFC Championship game, but the 49ers present a totally different challenge. Derrick Henry's big, he's a tank, he's bruising. The question was for the Chiefs, can anyone tackle this guy?
Yeah.
No. But with Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, who is probable.
Hopefully, yeah. He suffered the dislocated shoulder, but they say he might be ready. But still, even if he doesn't play, you still have Matt Breida.
Matt Breida. So, with Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida, the question is for the Chiefs, how far downfield with, 40 yards of fresh Bermuda grass is Raheem Mostert before the Chiefs can even touch him?
Yeah, like you said, with that 3rd and 8 play against the Packers, he was untouched when he went into the end zone. So, you say Niners. What do you see the score playing out? How do you see it playing out?
I'd like to think that this score would be amped up just because of Pat Mahomes being explosive. I'm pegging this at high 30s.
High 30s.
High 30s. I'm
okay.
Probably 34, 36, or maybe 36 to 28.
Okay. All right. Again, going back with what I said earlier, I feel like Mahomes is going to have to be great, which I think he's going to have to start making plays, which is going to play into the Niners' hands, because when you start trying to make these big plays, you can make mistakes. So I think there might be an interception, possibly maybe he runs out and maybe he even forces a fumble. I think the Niners' defense is going to get to him. I think he's going to make his plays. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring of a game. I don't think it's going to make it to the 30s or the 40s. Okay. I see the score playing out 28-24 Niners.
High 20s, okay.
And I think that rushing attack is just going to keep going. I really don't think they're going to be able to stop it. But I think also now that the Chiefs are going to be gunning for the rushing attack, I think now that's going to open up the play action. And now we're going to see some Jimmy G. I say Jimmy G throws for at least 2 touchdowns.
Fair enough. 2
touchdowns for him, and probably 2 touchdowns on the ground. It's going to shut people up.
Right.
The 6th ring. Hopefully, we'll see. I mean, these are just predictions. We're just hoping.
Man.
We're just some Niner fans out here in Manila.
But again, right.
I just hope for a good game. A really exciting game. Who's going to be performing? J-Lo and Shakira, I believe, are going to be at the halftime show. Halftime shows have been really bad as of late. I think it's almost like the Pro Bowl. Like, it's there, but nobody really wants to watch it.
Do they even want to?
The last decent one I watched was probably the Bruno Mars one. That was pretty good. Yeah. I remember Lady Gaga did it a couple years. No. It was really weird. It was really weird.
It's forgetful.
So
forgettable, sorry.
Other things you're looking forward to? We have to watch the game. I'm trying to get Anthony to watch the game. We're having a viewing party. You gotta go. Bring your Kaepernick jersey. Speaking of that, I finally got a jersey. It's a legit jersey.
G Kittle.
Because before, G Kittle. Because this is actually the first jersey I've ever bought. As a kid growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't afford stuff like that. I remember buying a jersey a couple years ago in Hong Kong. It was super not legit at all. It was super fake. But it was a Patrick Willis jersey, and I gave it to my dad. So this is my own. This is like my true first jersey.
Truly earned.
Well, actually, it's a birthday gift for my girlfriend. So thank you.
Ayon. Woo. All right, football fans everywhere across Manila and across the world. Again, let us know in your comments and in your greetings. Who do you think is going to take Super Bowl Live or Super Bowl 54?
Exactly. 54 sounds better.
Kansas City Chiefs or San Francisco 49ers? You know who Steven and I are rooting for. And that is it for our edition of Tailgate Tropa for this afternoon. Once again, thank you so much to all of you who have been tuning into us for our growing followers over at the Radyo Katipunan page. Please keep spreading the love for American football across Metro Manila and beyond. And that is it for Steven and I.
Make sure to follow Radyo Katipunan. They're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, I believe. You can follow me at I am Steven Silva on Instagram and Twitter. I know you're on Twitter you have a weird Twitter screen name.
It's the combination of San Francisco Francisco and San Antonio Spurs.
What is it again?
But I even can't memorize.
See, yeah, you gotta make it simple so people can follow you. Like, guys, follow Anthony at SF_A-86 underscore.
Sounds like a computer code.
Yeah, it sounds. So, basta, just find him. He's on there.
All right. So that is it for me. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Your Tailgate Tropa only here at Radyo Katipunan 87.9. Bang Bang Niner Gang all the way to the
Bang,
playoffs.
bang,
Or
Niner Gang.
the Super Bowl, sorry.
One more game.
Miami Knights. Peace out. Thank you.
Welcome to the Rundown, where we take you right into the action with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down!
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng